fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. And if you can't take that first step and realize, oh, this actually isn't that bad, I'm not going to die. It's not that bad. But sitting in that seat and being like, oh, do I make the call? Do I do the thing? Do I X, Y, Z? Do I go to college? Do I go, mentor that?
Who you are, what you do, and where you do it. There's plenty of post-production that's going to go. Not too worried about it.
Okay, so obviously I'm Antonio Federico. I own the Parisi Speed School in Vermont, in Essex Junction. I've been doing it now 3 years and was previously your athlete, actually. So this is a little legacy.
Previously, 8 years ago.
So previously.
We
are still previously.
Previously, years ago, you were a Parisi athlete turned Parisi coach turned Parisi owner.
Correct.
Right? In that order?
Yeah, I mean...
Owner coach.
Owner coach, technically.
So we're going to talk about that, right? Like, I think that's whenever we think about Parisi episodes and the podcast of like what's worth recording and the stories and the conversations, what people are going to get from it. Like, I think of the title of this one is The Trajectory of a Performance Coach, or like getting into the performance coach industry, because I think that's what's really unique about your story. In today's world, right, where you were a personal trainer, turned Parisi, like you kind of got into Parisi after personal training. You've seen the light of a lot of different avenues of fitness in a very small market. I had Stan Schofield on earlier today. We talked about being a bigger fish in a very small pond, or trying to be a bigger fish. Or even if you're a small fish in a small pond, like you can make it happen. You can do the thing. Talk a little bit about your entry point into fitness, starting where all of it. I don't want to before you, but let's talk about that. We'll kind of venture off from there.
Okay. Well, I mean, so the starting point, and the real starting point, was beginning, worked in the restaurant industry for a while, as you know.
Yep.
And so, I mean, obviously, as you know, we've got a lot of history between you and I. So you've kind of lived this with me for a good period of time, actually.
But you still did it, though. That's the thing. Like,
still did it, yes.
I was like on the outside.
You directed it as well.
Well, you ask the questions, you ask good questions, you get answers, but you still took the action on, right? You're in the restaurant industry.
This is true. So I ended up in the restaurant industry for a while. Was running restaurants, as you know, and then around the time COVID hit is kind of where I steered out of that industry, moved away, took a gap in time. That's when we got reconnected, went back to my personal fitness journey. And just started asking a lot of questions, like you said. I kept that kind of white belt mentality of just wanting to learn more. And you were the one to steer me toward my CPT, and then eventually into the functional range system, which I threw into heavily, actually. That is probably one of the bigger systems aside from Parisi that has steered my owner growth, but also my coaching growth pretty heavily. So that was a really big one for me. And then once we did that, then got the call from you with Bill and George on the line, and there was Parisi as an opportunity. Went to certification, had the team bring me out. We went and ran with it and sat in first day of, running through the warm-up with John Cirillo talking about it. Then he rolls right into positive coaching. And maybe 15 minutes in that conversation, I was like, okay, here's where I'm supposed to be. And that's all she wrote. So
let's take a pause there, because I think this is where I want to start the conversation, talking about people who are interested in fitness. I don't know if you've gotten this yet. You're probably going to. If you're not getting it already, you'll get it more.
Yep.
So a lot of people see the optics of personal training. They see the optics of working with athletes. Just call it personal training. We'll use it synonymously right now. Performance coaching, personal training. People are like, man, I don't like my job. I sit in a cubicle. I work with a shitty boss, whatever it might be.
Yep.
Personal training seems like it's awesome. I love to work out. Whatever, that's fine. I'm not here to trash those people. But
I will.
You went into getting your certified personal trainer. Like, you get that first.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you have to get, because that will get you a job.
Yep.
Be a certified person. What did you get certified through?
ISSA.
Yeah. That's a good organization, right? There's probably 4 major.
I'd say there's 4 bigger ones. I mean, you've got NASM, ISSA. I mean, obviously NNC, SA, which we're partners with. Then ASM.
But so ACE, National Physical Conditioning Association, ISSA, NASM. There's a couple on the frills outside of there. I think CFSC is a great certification as well.
Yep.
But for a lot of you, walk into any commercial gym, Crunch, Lifetime, 24, even Equinox, right? Like you walk into like any gym, you have one of those 4, they're probably going to go, okay, like that's the first ticket on your resume. Like, and this maybe building the resume of a performance coach. We have the title of this. I'm going to run it through AI, and AI is going to come up with the titles of what this podcast episode is.
That's okay.
But you start with your certified personal training certification, and from there, I think you actually say like, what do I do next, right?
So I think that was my big question. And, you know, I definitely have a more unique background because I don't have my bachelor's degree. I don't have a CSCS. I have nothing. Didn't even go to college, actually. So that's a real big base for me is I didn't know where to start in that field because, like we had said, I really see it as 2 routes. You either go for kind of the off route, or you've done your exercise science, kinesiology, something in that realm that has led you into, okay, what's next when I leave college? Am I expected to have a $62,000 job as a coach or a personal trainer? And that's what some are expecting. Or you go the separate route where you get your CPT, or you go intern somewhere and you follow that route. So I think that second big thing for me was that question of, now I have my CPT, we're just scratching the surface. What is next? Because there's got to be something.
And what was your first training job?
First training job was my own business. Yeah. That was the first. We ran from, I mean, granted, aside from everyone that thought I worked for you at the old.
Yeah. So the way literally, so Antonio would sit behind. Antonio would train.
First 3 hours.
He would train. He would do the training session. Then he would stay and do extra training stuff. Then he would grab a protein shake or something like ready to eat. He'd sit at the desk.
Yep.
And the phone would ring, people would walk in, and people, either way, he just like, you know, if you're confident in the position, people are just like, oh, can you help me schedule a session? And Tony would be like, and I think you probably answered the phone. Yeah. So like, yes. Someone answers the phone, you're like, I can't answer the phone and put someone on hold and pass it off. That's fine. So you've been like in the fitness industry, you knew like that was the route you wanted to, but you started your own business, you went independent.
Yeah. So first went independent and online too. Yeah. Nothing in person.
This is all post-COVID. So
this is all post-COVID. It was a difficult time.
It's a tough time. Yeah. The COVID era, as I like to call it, I think was game-changing for those in the fitness industry.
Extremely.
In a sense that it trimmed the fat.
Very much.
A lot of people who were part-time, a lot of people who were hobbyists, enthusiasts, doing it as a quote-unquote part-time, it wasn't fun anymore for them.
Well, and I think additionally, I think for our area too, since we do come from Vermont, for us up there, it trimmed the fat, but it also started to show some of the coaches that even were good, that they didn't want to be in that market anymore.
Yeah.
They wanted either a bigger market that could bounce back quicker, or they just went straight online. So we really lost, I would say, a good amount of good coaches and good programs during that time. And we're still, I mean, we still have a gap that we are starting to fill now.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, for our facility, we've outgrown our space 3 times already in the past 3 years, and we're still growing, which is, you know, I'm super thankful for. But that just shows me that there is a need for this in that market.
There is never a shortage of people who will not benefit from fitness advice, coaching, youth athletes that need the outlet, whatever it may be. I don't know if you knew this number. Pre-COVID, the gym that I was at, gym that shall not be named, we had 37 personal trainers.
Yep.
Full and part-time. After we came back from COVID, we had 12 full-time, part-time personal trainers. 3 months after the gym reopened, post-COVID in the COVID era, we had 9. 4 of which were Parisi performance coaches.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. So
that's surprising.
It just shows you like where and how COVID decimated, I think, the part-time enthusiast coach, but it left professional personal trainers.
It left good people.
Professionals. Like
that or stubborn professionals. One of the two.
And those are probably both okay.
And sometimes they're the same.
So you're independent. You're training people online.
Yep.
Where was your first in-person, like where were you first starting to take in-person? Because it was before Parisi. You were training people in person before Parisi?
Yep. So what ended up happening is we launched that at your recommendation. I went to the functional range conditioning course and dove into that heavily. FRC, FRA, Kin Stretch, FRS, ISM. I've gone through all of them, some of them twice. Now that having that base, I ended up at Combat Fitness in Winooski, and that was the first place that I started the hands-on, actually coaching, training some. And that actually wasn't even athletes at the time. Well, I should rephrase that. Adult athletes, no youth athletes at the time. And so we really dove into that myself for close to probably 6 months. And that's when I got the call for Parisi, and the gym, who shall not be named, is the only license, one of the only licenses we have in the state. I believe we have another one who's Christine, who's down in White River Junction.
Yeah, White River.
So that was the second license in the state. So once we got that call, then that's when I took the ride down to Jersey and went through the full certification. And that's actually out of combat is where we initially started.
Yeah, I remember that.
We had probably about as big as this room for training space, 10 yards, maybe 15 of truly sprintable space. We had out back. We had it was a full, where big 18-wheelers can park in. So we had a good 40 yards out there. But as Vermont, maybe usable for 3 months out of the year, 4 if you're lucky. Yeah. And so we ran it from June is when we took on the license, signed contract. I launched everything. It took me a month, launched everything. We were fully launched by July 4th. From July 4th to about October, we started just running full boat. We hit middle of October, and I was like, we're going to outgrow the space. I don't have room for true training.
Yes.
And frankly, at that time, I had no idea what I was doing. I still question whether I have any idea if I know what I'm doing at this point, to be completely candid with you. I'm good about some things, but after, a weekend like this, I'm like, what do I really know?
You never really know.
Is that like
cattle in the swarm? We've had a couple swears. It's okay.
All right,
we put some curse word. We try to keep the swearing to a minimum, but it does happen.
I'll do my best.
It's fine.
As you know me, that's tough.
It's not a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker.
Sure. So we looked at that, and then at our Boston Summit in October of 2023, that's when we had the conversation about where we're currently at, and I reached out, and that's where we ended up. They had turf space, 25 yards indoors, and
we'll get to that because there's 2 things I want to hit on.
Let's hit it.
One, the first one is early in your career, I think, or like early in a fitness career, I think there's major value in learning a system. I know I say that selfishly. I graduated on a Saturday. I had my AFA certification, which has since been AFA, American Fitness Aerobics Association of America. Aerobics and Fitness Association of America. It was acquired by NASM in the last handful of years. So it's a NASM subsidiary now. But I graduated with a personal training certification on a Saturday, right? I walked to get my college degree, whatever, in business, not even health science, whatever.
Yep.
Different podcast, different day. Sunday, I want to plane to New Jersey.
Yep.
And I'm like super young, impressionable 21-year-old. I'm like, look at me. I'm so cool. I'm a personal trainer working for Parisi. I walk in, Martin Rooney, John Cirillo, Bill Parisi, 7 days of torture.
They kicked your ass.
Fair lawn. Yeah, but you learn a system.
Yep.
And I think that's what's really valuable, because you can learn, you can get your certification, but it doesn't mean you know how to systemize training for people to do the thing. You're just kind of throwing stuff out there. Like, I never learned how to write a program.
Yeah.
I never learned how to take exercises and formulate a 60-minute or 30-minute training session, which is the gym that I worked at. You sold 30 minutes or 60-minute training sessions.
Yeah.
And you weren't selling them cheap.
Nope.
When I first started, it was $1,990 for 24 sessions.
Ow.
And it was like $700 and something or $800 or something like that for 12 sessions. That's what you sold.
Yep.
And it's high. And if you're just, because you're a trainer, it doesn't mean you know how to formulate a quality session. So can you talk a little bit about like functional range, like learning a system, how it kind of opened your eyes, what you took from it? You know, Parisi obviously is a training system, but you did FR, FRA, FRC, FRI test. Yeah, all of it. Like you did the system before. Talk about how you paired that with personal training, with just understanding strength training sessions, but the value of learning a system.
Absolutely. So I think one of the big things, and I talk to this with all of our coaches, anyone that interns with me currently, and anyone, frankly, that's interested in the field, one of the biggest things is we're not like doctors. We don't have a governing body. And as much as if I had control, Bobby Stroop said it today, over youth athletics or even fitness as a whole, a governing body would be in place. Because we have no standard to hold to. We have Instagram, get ripped 30-day, fit to shred or shred fit, whatever the guy is on Instagram. I hate that guy. But you know what I'm talking about. There's no governing body for that system. There's nothing regulating what we do. So having a system really does build something to hold yourself to, a standard. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I found early in my career is I had no idea what I was doing. And that at the time was very true. No idea how the difference between, programming in a regimented program with certain periods of rest, certain reps and set schemes would make a difference. And having that set system, and then I think it's the system and then backfilling with the science. Because if you just learn a system, you start to become complacent in that. Where if you hear an outside system or a difference of opinion, and frankly, this is the state of the world, but I won't dive into politics on this pod.
We're trying to avoid that one too.
Gotcha. But I think, common sense isn't common sense anymore.
Yeah.
And when we're at that place, when you're looking at having a system, if I'm so bought into a system and I don't know why the system works or the science behind the system, when I hear another system, my automatic is, oh, that's bad. That's the devil. I don't want to do that. And that gets tricky because I think you can learn something from everyone. And whether it's, 10% of what you went for or it's 90%, you're going to learn something that you can apply to something. Because one of the biggest things I see is not enough coaches have multiple arrows in their quiver. Because you're always going to get an interesting case, something that your system cannot work in, whether that's a youth athlete, whether that's an adult, whether it's, we work a lot with physical therapy. So whether that's a, post rehab or a return to play program, those are very particular scenarios. If I'm going through an ACL reconstruction with a youth athlete, well, I'm doing very different things than I would with, a kid who is an elite, quote unquote, program athlete. I'm looking at very different metrics, loading metrics, eccentric loading, and I'm looking at different positional situations as well, not just squat, bench, deadlift. And where that think falls short is that coaches that have that dialed in approach on this is my system and this is what I adhere to. And I love Parisi, don't get me wrong. But even then, there are times where I know, okay, hey, I got to use something else. This is something, that is going to backfill on. And I think in the nature of our network and our business organization, whatever you want to call it, Parisi is very good about saying, and the functional range system is great about this as well, learn from us, but go out and learn more. And then bring that back, because tell us how we need to apply that into our system, because we can learn from that. And I think keeping on that forefront, and the functional range system is really good about that. As someone who didn't go through college courses, and they do a really good job of like deep diving into, breaking down tissue and very dialed in down to the molecular level of what we're doing in the human body. For someone who didn't do a college course, having that background is very reassuring.
Yeah. I mean, FRC, when I took it, it was a very interesting way to look at human movement. Mm-hmm. That was through a very different lens than what I was used to from a strong speed performance background.
Absolutely.
So there was overlap, there was differences, there are different skills, but how they viewed the human as a object, as a thing,
yep,
were different. And it was really refreshing, I guess. Like, and that's one of the things that whenever I talk to someone who's like, wants to get into personal training, like, hey, you got to get certified first. That's the first thing. You got to get certified, and you probably should be through one of the 4 we've talked about, just because of brand recognition in getting a job.
Yeah.
Not that they're dramatically different, but they're brand recognition, get a job. That's the first thing. You got to get in the door, you got to get a job. And then from there, I think it's of value to learn a system.
Yeah.
FRC, FMS, it can be precision nutrition, which we were talking about earlier. Is like a coaching certification centered around nutrition. You'll learn how to coach by getting your precision nutrition certification.
Yeah.
Now, even if you're not interested in nutrition, you will learn how to coach better, talk to a person better. Parisi training system, certified function, CFSC, like learn a system, because it's going to be able to take what you learn in your CPT and apply it in a way. And then go work. Like
hands-on experience.
Go do it, which you were doing. Yeah. Fitness, which is combat fitness is exactly the name, right? It's a boxing, MMA style gym. There was a strength training area.
Yeah, we had a small strength conditioning section. The owner, Anthony Member, who's a very good friend of mine. He's a CSCS guy, and he was really prevalent to the fact of me diving into that system, and he wanted to use it because the functional range conditioning and functional range systems, they're very big in the martial arts world, whether it's UFC, MMA, or over the water in other countries. But they're now starting to dive into MLB, NFL, and we're diving into every major league team, and they're doing a lot of research into that. Dr. Shivers and John Quinn are some of the two leading that forefront, along with Dr. Ainer Spinia. They're fantastic, and I can't even...
They're smart. They're smart guys. But
geniuses. I can't keep up with as much stuff as they're doing.
It's ridiculous, and that's a whole, building a system is... You have to be very... It's like a comedian. You listen to good comedy. Good comedians are very intelligent. That's how they're able to make fun of and poke fun at different things, because they understand the concepts to a different level. Creating a movement system is a lot of different things. But you're training people. Parisi comes in. You learn the Parisi system. You're going through it. You move to a new facility.
Yep.
Talk about the new facility. Talk about what's going on in the new facility. Different personalities, objectives. You move from a combat gym to a physical therapy center.
Yep.
Talk about it.
Yes, we moved from combat fitness to on-track physical therapy. They also had adult training, and they still have adult training time. And actually, that who owns that now, Brian LaFleur, is actually my partner, not business partner, but we operate in the same unit. We both actually lease that unit now as well. Big move from that. Anyone looking to make that move, man, it's a bitch.
But it's I would think it's, from the outside, it's a dream. We always try to build...
It is.
I had a relationship with physical therapy, with a physical therapist. It was amazing for our business because we were connected, right? We had the same shared philosophy. He would treat our athletes. We would train him. He would train with our athletes. It was insane. And I think as a complementary piece to a business, we talk about it, get a PT to refer to you, work with a PT. You're in the space. I've seen the space. There's a half wall. It's turf. Athletes are running.
Concept.
Yeah, athletes are running towards the PT table.
Gets a little sketchy sometimes, but yeah.
But what is it can be for sure. Talk to me about the value you have felt, and maybe you haven't gotten there yet. I don't know, but is the value to having a PT in there?
It is exponential. Making that switch for us, and I think two really crucial things on this that I would caution anyone for making that decision to be in the same space, not just to refer. Referring is one thing because there's a level of separation. You're going to a different business. You're leaving the building and going somewhere else. Being in the same space as someone, you really have to make sure you think alike. And I don't necessarily mean, in business or in personal or whatever, but your training systems and your movement systems and the way you think about the human body have to align. Because the difficulty, and we don't run into this, but I know other facilities that have this difficulty, is they say very different things. If we're very lucky that our physical therapist is not the modalities approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing against the cupping and the needling and all this red light and this and that. It's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid on a major problem. If I have, and Bobby Stroop is doing a really great job of talking about this today, but if I have a capsular issue in my hip and it is affecting my lower back, my ankle, my knee, or something, and I look at where that problem is presenting itself, which could be the lower back or it could be the ankle or the knee, but I'm not targeting the issue, which is the hip, it's coming back. Doesn't matter how much I needle, cup, stab it, cut it open, whatever, it's coming back because I haven't solved the issue. So our physical therapist does a really good job of assessing and looking at, okay, where is the problem presenting itself, but where is it living? What do we need to look at and diversify into to find, hey, maybe this is a movement pattern that you're continually doing. And so for us, that's been crucial. Since being there with our physical therapist, we have probably collaborated on over 30 athletes. Whether it's we refer to them, they refer to us. That number may be even higher, but that's just who I can think of off the top of my head. And that's been really crucial for us because there is that level of trust, whether they're coming for us or going to them, or whether vice versa. There's a pre-built trust with that relationship, which is key for any sales process, but also program buy-in and retention. If you don't trust the person you're working with, physical therapist or trainer, you're not going to stay very long. And the second big piece that really dives in for us is, since we have that open concept, there's no boundary. I could literally take an athlete that says in session, hey, this is acting up or I'm having this issue, and it takes me 20 steps to walk him to our PT who can immediately see him and look at the issue and say, hey, either A, we need to make an appointment because this is a bigger issue. B, hey, it's a small issue and we can do this, I can do this right now. Or C, hey, it's actually not an issue. You're just XYZ. And for us, that's been a major selling point within the program because knock on wood, I don't think we have any here, but
marble.
Well, so I don't know what you want.
Pretend it's wood.
Well, we're going to pretend it's wood. We haven't had an injury in our facility, aside from, some minor things here and there.
Everyone's going to pinch a finger on a dumbbell.
That's a big one, of course, especially with kids.
It's the number one.
The big one. And so, for us, we haven't had an issue like that. But even when we've had small little ones, it's very comforting to be able to walk over and say, especially for newer coaches. For myself, I've been in the game a little while. And if I see something happen, I'm very good about movement and pattern recognition when it comes to coaching. I probably have a better coach's eye than I do coaching ability. And so for me, when I see something happen, I know the severity 99% of the time. But having that availability to see that, and then for newer coaches that really aren't fully comfortable coaching yet, and that athlete, say, rolls an ankle doing a speed skater or a side shuffle or a side run, and they start to have that little bit of panic, there's that little bit of reassurance to be able to walk over and that PT can come over and say, hey, oh yeah, that's okay. Just go, make sure you take the rest of the day off. You're fine, chill, elevate it, heat it a little bit, and it'll be okay. Make sure you keep it moving just a little bit. That's been really big for us.
It's huge. I mean, that's, so you alluded to this when we were in Boston last year, you're in combat fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one thing that I admire the hell out of you for. I said, Antonio, if I was you, I would call every gym in the county that looks like it could be a possibility. If it has turf, I'm calling.
You said if it has turf, I'm calling.
If it has turf, I'm calling. And you did it.
Yeah. I believe that night, actually.
I admire the hell out of people because I get to the point where people will be like, oh, what should I do for this? And I just look at them like, are you going to do it? Or I'll have a client that's like, can you add an extra day to my program? Like, yeah, are you going to do it? Because I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, you want to have the conversation? I'll have the conversation. I'll tell you exactly what I would do, but that doesn't mean it's one, what you should do, or two, like, you're going to do it because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So what, like, you call Brian, what do you say? Because, like, that's a cold call of a cold call. What I think you have the advantage of, you're bringing value. You're like, hey, I have a business. I'm operating right now. I know what I'm doing. You aren't doing this with the youth side of things or like the skill set of FR. I mean, it's the functional range system.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can't say like functional. It's like functional range. And then there's like
FRC is like the big one they go by, I think.
Like you're calling and you're different. So you have value. So I think it's a good icebreaker. But what is that conversation like for you? Like you call Brian, like and he's a pretty cool dude. He's very chill. Hey, he's super chill, which is great.
Very chill guy.
And what does that conversation look like?
Yeah, so for me, like cold calls like that, I love. And I know it must be the...
Some people are pretty like, I would never.
It's got to be the Sicilian in me.
Yeah.
Like, I love a good cold call. I'll call parent out of the blue, program director, and organization. I don't care. I will call you out of the blue. And 80% of the time, I'll sell you whatever I'm trying to sell you. I mean, I love it. But
if you have something worth selling, it's an easy. I mean, that's a Bill Parisi has said that same thing. If you have something worth selling, it's not a sell.
I'm a big Hormozy guy, and I think a really good way that he likes to put it, and something I've heard from other people as well, that if you're truly passionate and committed to what you do, it'll come across. Yeah. And that's all you need. And so I mean that was honestly genuinely the point I made. I called Brian and I said, hey, I'd love to come in and chat. I'm not a big for business deals like that. I'm not a big over the phone guy, so. Said, hey, I'd love to come in and just walk me through the facility. Let at least hear me out on what I'm offering. We met, walked in the building, looked around, we kind of chatted a little bit, and I just said, hey, here's what I want to do. I'll give you 25% of all profit that comes in until we figure out, what we're going to do. I just said, we're growing so fast. I need a bigger space. Here's the hours I want to operate. Here's what I'm willing to do. I won't do adult training. I'm not going to, interrupt that because they do adult training themselves. Said I have no interest, and at the time I truly had no interest anymore in training adults. They're pain in the ass, and I just didn't want it, especially hands-on. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I was very upfront. I said, from the hours of like 4:30 to 9 p.m., I just need a key. You'll get 25% of all the profits we make. I need literally no equipment. Whatever you have here is great, but frankly, I could do this in a field. I just need the space. And
weatherproof space.
Yeah, he just said, okay. And that was it. The conversation. He was thrilled. He said, we would love to do this. And frankly, like, it probably took us a year to get very comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
You know, we were building a good comfortability, meeting his team.
Well, it's like dating.
Have a team. Oh, it's
like dating.
Yeah, Brian's my work wife.
Really, yeah, but it's like two businesses, right? And you're like, is this gonna work? Because there's a lot of times it does not.
There's a lot of times it doesn't.
And that's especially with PTs, like,
yeah.
right? Because we're not PTs.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of trainers tried to be PTs. A lot of PTs tried to be trainers. It goes both ways. It can be very difficult. You know, but I think, you know, like if I could throw like an AI summary on this real quick to ChatGPT, like what's the summary of this so far, right? Like you don't need college to define your success, but you need a path, right? Like I'm not saying college is bad. I know I went to college. I have a business degree. I needed 4 years to figure out what the hell I found personal training in college. So it's a different version of the story, a different type of story, but you don't need college to be successful, but you need the resources to still be successful. You found the resources, you utilize the resources, like the training systems and et cetera. The mentorship is huge. That's a whole nother podcast. God, it's a whole nother podcast on mentorship, but
we'll dive.
But then you take the action required and you go, okay, I'm going to do this. I may not like this. I have no idea what the future might be, but you do the thing, right? The thing we talk about, you just do the thing. If you can just do the thing or take steps to doing the thing, at least you're giving yourself a chance. You're in the arena, right? When did you know it was going to work?
Yeah, so I think you touched on some really good points there. You know,
that's my AI summary. I am one with ChatGPT.
I know you were really diving hard into it.
I love it.
So I think here's one of the big ones. And this has been presented to me in several different ways, but one way I really like to put it is fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. And if you can't take that first step and realize, oh, this actually isn't that bad. I'm not going to die. It's not that bad. But sitting in that seat and being like, oh, do I make the call? Do I do the thing? Do I X, Y, Z? Do I go to college? Do I go, mentor that? There's been times where I'll go to certifications, and the functional range conditioning is a great example. I went to that certification, and that day, the guys finished, and we were at lunch. We had an hour and a half break, and I went up to them and said, hey, where are you guys going to lunch? I was like, I'd love to just tag along. I'd love to either pick your brain or just let me tag along. And yeah, seriously. I've done it with Bill. The first time I ever met Bill, I said, hey, I'd love to, can I find time and just chat, shoot the shit with you and learn? I've done it with several of our master coaches. This weekend, Liz Madden, I held her at the bar for 2 hours after picking her brain about Jumpstart programs. I think truly, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Mm-hmm. But B, really the big piece on that is just do it. You have to take a leap because you're going, and our brains are literally wired to keep us safe. And so when you present to the brain an idea or a movement pattern, this goes the same for physical movement. And the more you work with youth, as you know, the more that this is going to come into play, especially youth female athletes in box jumps. It's like one of the best examples I could give. Presenting that option, you give them a 32-inch box and you go, hey, you're going to jump that today. Automatically that brain is going to go, well, no, we're not. And it's going to start to run that loop in their head. I can't do this. This isn't going to happen. That's terrifying. What if I hit my shins? What if I scrape the whole way up out the box? What if I fall, eat shit, break my nose, whatever. But you present an 8-inch box and you say, hey, I want you to jump on this. Okay, well, that's not bad. It's about the size of a stair. Okay, easy. With making decisions the same way. It's just a call. Make the call. When I get on the call, I'll figure out what I want to say. Don't plan a script. And frankly, a lot of people say, I hate, I was about to swear heavily there, but I hate scripts, legitimately. Like anyone that tells you that you need a script and you have to plan out everything, every minute detail of what you're going to say is bullshit.
You have an idea. You have a desired outcome.
Script and bullet points, very different. Yeah. Having bullet points is a good idea.
Yeah.
Having a word for word, here's what I'm going to say. If you're good, you don't need that.
Yeah.
You don't need a script that I'm going to stare and call him. Hey, Jack, nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. No, I just, hey, how's it going, man? How you doing today? Oh, actually, today's not so good. Hey, cool, let's run into that. Figure it out as you go. It's that 8-inch box. Then you go to 12, then you go to 24, then you go to 32. And by the end of the day, holy shit, I just jumped 32 inches. Yeah, that's a PR. That's awesome. Or by the end of the day, hey, we have a brand new location that's 7,700 square feet of usable space. Okay, cool. Let's start training. Let's start making shit happen.
Yeah. It's I I like that. Say it again. Fear is a mile wide
and an inch deep. Mile wide and an inch deep. You take the first step and you realize it's not that bad.
That's what it comes down to is you have to do the thing. Because a lot of people get certified, they think it's going to just happen after that. Because the certification is passive. You read a book, you go through some online stuff, you take a test, you go to like an HR block, you sit there, you take the test, you pass, you're like, cool, I'm certified. Now what? Now what do I do? But at some point you have to just go do it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's get a job at the front desk, like just go do that. Do the independent route, which, you know, kudos to you. I went box gym for 12 years. You went independent. I don't know. They're both hard in their own way. We'll have another pod someday talking about the differences. That's all of it, because I think that's a whole different episode. But
it is.
I texted you before this and I said, are you going to be good? Are you going to be cool?
You said, are you going to be cool?
You over-delivered. I had a great time.
Yep.
I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
It's great.